What is going on, guys? Eagle Aquatics back here, and today's video will be all about the Purple Tang. This is going to be a full care guide, all the care and requirements of the Purple Tang, and my story, of course, behind him, why I have him. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's start out with the story of how I got this guy. So I picked him up actually from Petco. You can get these guys for extremely cheap if you know when to look, and they mark these guys down very far. Story is, I go to my local Petco sometimes. You know, it's not the best place to buy fish, but you can get some really good deals there. So after a couple months, I've been watching this guy in one of the tanks. Nobody's been buying him. He was probably in there for about 2 months. They had him at marked down like 10% from like $200, and then so I was watching him. His fins were tore up. He was malnourished, but I mean he was healthy and eating. It's just they didn't really take care of him. So I walked in one day and he was marked down 90% to only $25. That's it. And if you guys know, Purple Tangs are one of the most expensive fish you could buy. So for $25, I had to pick this guy up. He didn't have any illnesses. He didn't have ick or anything that could spread to my other fish. And I asked the guy to feed him, and he ravenously ate all the food. So I knew he would survive in my tank. So I had to pick him up for $25. So I brought him home. Nursed him back to health for a couple months. As you guys know, you've seen him in my vids a lot, all the time. So he just fully came back to life. All of his personality came back. As you can see, his fins grew back totally. Look at his tail too. It's perfect now. And he is a fully healthy fish right now. So I definitely scored on this guy. Picked him up for $25. So if you go into Petco and notice nobody's been buying a very expensive fish for a long time, Petco, at least my Petco, will mark them down. They will have a sticker like marked down from like $200 or something like that, and you can get these guys for extremely cheap. Now, as you guys could see, when I bought him, he did have lateral line decay. He doesn't have it anymore. He just has the scarring from it, but no big deal, because I even think it looks kind of cool how he has that, but his lateral line decay is gone now, so he is perfectly healthy and good. So let's get into the care guide on this guy and all the requirements of him. So let's start with the tank size, of course. I would house this guy in a minimum of 75 gallons of water, because they do get pretty big, and they're swimming. They need large swimming spaces because they love to swim. Everybody knows tanks love to swim. So I'd say 75 gallons minimum. 125 gallons would be absolutely perfect, which I have a 125 gallon that I'm setting up. So this guy's going to be in there and he's going to be perfectly happy. So yeah, start with that. They're really, really easy to care for. This guy eats anything I throw in the tank, and he gets along with most. So he's really easy to care for. I haven't seen any diseases arise on him, so I'd say he's pretty disease resistant. But he's definitely really easy to care for. He was in one of my top 10s, the top 10 saltwater fish for beginners. Tangs are one of them because they're very easy to care for. And one thing that makes Purple Tangs really appealing to buyers is their color pattern. You cannot find that color pattern on any other fish. Just a bright, striking purple with a bright yellow tail. I mean, it's just one of a kind fish. Such a cool colors. I mean, if you look closely at them, there's patterns too. It's just awesome. These guys are so cool. The color form is absolutely amazing, and it's just such a cool fish. These guys are semi-aggressive, like all tangs. They can get aggressive if they dominate a territory, but I don't see much aggression out of my tang. He doesn't bother any other fish in my tank, and they don't bother him. Probably because he's just big, if not bigger than him. So I wouldn't mark him down as being very aggressive. I'd say semi-aggressive. Stick with similar size fish, not really tiny fish, but these guys are awesome. They can live together. A lot of people do mix a bunch of different types of tangs. If you have a big enough aquarium, you could probably add more tangs in with this guy, but I wouldn't put more tangs in with him in like a 75-gallon tank. I just stick to one. Max size on these guys is actually 10 inches. They could get very big, which is why they require a bigger tank. Like I said, probably a 125 would suit these guys perfectly. So keep in mind their size, that's for sure. They are very reef compatible. Tangs are one of the best reef fish you could have. Their feeding requirements, I feed my fish flakes and frozen every other day. So for frozen, I feed this guy mysis, brine shrimp, krill. He eats all of it. I've never seen him deny any food. I feed him flakes. I feed the Ocean Nutrition Prime Reef Flakes, and he just loves those. You need to feed these guys seaweed. Now, in order to have, or for the Purple Tang to have a stable diet, they need to have seaweed in their diet. You need to feed it at least 3 times a week in order for them to stay healthy and have a strong immune system. So I feed mine mostly seaweed salad. I also have this Rod's Food seaweed and this Nutrimar, but this is the best. And I find them to like the Sally's seaweed salad the best. So put it on your algae clip. Let's drop it in the tank and see what happens. So yeah, guys, got it on the clip. I use 1 sheet, and then let's get it in the tank. Attach it. There we go. And watch how fast they attack it. My wrest is also destroy it too. But he just comes up, starts ripping into it. It's pretty crazy. Pretty cool to watch too. They love this stuff, so you gotta feed it to them. All tangs require seaweed. Make sure you give it to them, and they love it. $200 is what they cost usually. Usually you can find them for $100, which is very expensive. Most people wouldn't be willing to spend that much, which is why you scope them out at Petco. If they have a disease or are malnourished and nobody's buying them, you can probably pick them up for very cheap. So keep your eyes open, guys. These guys are very cool fish. If you guys are willing to spend $200, which a lot of people do, because a lot of people have these. These are one of the most popular tangs. But for $200, it is totally worth it, because this guy is always out. His colors, personality, totally worth $200. So if you really want one of these tangs, go out and spend the money, because they are totally worth it, and they will survive in your tank. These are very hardy and easy to care for. So yeah, guys, this has been another care guide on the one and only Purple Tang. So one of the coolest fish. So make sure you go check out my playlist full of care guides. It'll be in the corner on this video. Let me know in the comments below how you like the Purple Tang, and request if you want to request for different care guides. Gotta leave some comments. Need some suggestions for future videos, so definitely go down there, like this video. Follow me on Instagram. I post exclusive content you don't see on my YouTube videos. So head on over at Eagle Aquatics on Instagram. Give me a follow.